Okay, hey guys, I'm going to try not to be too concerned about the way the camera is. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna try to not be too long on this video and just, I guess this is just a random Book of Shadows vlog that I wanted to do real quick. Um, just about like all the crazy, like my crazy life. Like I have such a crazy life. Like I'm not even kidding. But it's like, I'm grateful for every day. Don't get me wrong. So it's not like, oh my God, my life is crazy. I'm gonna cry. I just sometimes want to document, my magical experiences and as a shamanic witch, I do feel like that, I do feel like I know for 100% fact, like, I'm on a shamanic journey. Like, people may, like, I'm not saying people do, but, like, when I first came out telling people that I was on that journey, some people didn't take it lightly, and I know in my heart that I definitely am, like, shamanism is very real. And I didn't really first discover shamanism. And like, I've always wanted to be like a medium and all that. But, it took like practice and all that, And I was just thinking about all of my spiritual awakenings and what they have meant to me. And the thing is, okay, so I remember like my first spiritual awakening was probably when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I know, even though, like I said, that I'm a shamanic witch and I do practice magic and all that, I still have my beliefs about certain things, And there's reasons for it. People just think like, oh, just because I believe in certain things, or I do believe in the existence of God or the Most High, or Christ or whatever, like they just think like, oh, you have to be asleep or you have to be religious to a certain extent, and that's not even true. Like, this is just real life. Like, this is facts. Like, there's just certain things, like even me coming and saying this out as someone who is a practicing shamanic witch, um like, those are just facts. Like, even in this book that I have right here, like, that it's a really good book. It's called Ritual Magic by Tyson. And I think anybody who understands the combination of like religious teachings and scriptures that are even in the Bible or maybe even in the Quran, which I haven't studied the Quran yet, but I should. Something's telling me I should. So, I like to study many different things. I was just looking at my numerology chart, and it described me to a T. Like, I am such a number 11 life path. It's crazy. And I have a lot of numbers. I have a lot of 7 energy on my chart. I have a lot of 7s and 11 and 8s. Like, I have a lot of that kind of energy in my chart in number 4 too. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. What I'm saying though is that it explains why I am the way I am, why I'm such a spiritual person. But the reason why, like, I've heard like people like they have judged me for, not really judge me, but they'll like kind of throw hints like, oh, like, if you believe in Jesus, he doesn't exist or whatever. Like, I know, like, I don't talk, why do, like, I ask why people probably wonder why I talk about him sometimes on my videos. Well, because I do believe he's a spiritual healer. Like, he's more than just a spiritual healer. He's a healer. He's like a, just learning these stories and scripture. You just know, you'll know what I'm talking about with that. So anyway, the whole reason why I really do talk about him is because how can you just not? I, like, when I was 4 years old, I think I was around 4. I think I was like 4 or 5. My brother must have been like maybe one, I don't know, one or two. And we were at a cemetery, and he was just crying, and his face was almost like so blue. And my mom and my sister were like, "Oh my God, he's like, he sees something. He's crying because he sees something." And I was always like, "What? He can see. What does he see?" And my mom was saying like he saw something not good, like a spirit, a negative being entity, I guess. And I wanted to see something. I was like, "Oh, universe, why did my brother get to see something and I didn't?" As a child, I didn't see it as something negative. I guess I just found it more intriguing that there was something that he could see. He could see the unseen. I know you would be scared. Most people would be scared to like what you're like more focused on um, the actual fact that you know that you want to see something beyond the veil, or why aren't you just freaked out that he just saw an entity? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's freaky, but I want to see something. I think that's why I'm so much into the supernatural realm. So maybe, I don't know, I'm crazy. So I was kind of like, man, like I want to see something too. And then like maybe like 2 days, a couple days later, I was in the hallway of my house when I was like 4 years old, and I think I was just playing with toys, and like I look up and I see Jesus. Like I saw him right there, like standing right in front of me, and it wasn't like a body, like a normal like human moving around like that. It was like no, that sounds so bad and like a bad description, but like what I mean is that when I saw him, I did see him like. But it was more like I saw it was like a down. I don't know if it was like a download of information, or I definitely was seeing beyond the veil, but I saw like something, the spiritual realm sent me an image of him. It was like an image. It was like when you go to the store and you get like those candles, those religious candles. Like, hold on, let me see. Like something like this. Like it was kind of like the same image. It wasn't like a realistic face, but it looked like something like the images that you see. I know that's not him. That's Mother Mary, but um I'm not Catholic. I just I have different spiritual images in my room. I have Buddha. I have of course, the pinnacle, the earth that represents all the elements, and I have little Wicca, you know, you know, Wiccan in me. So yeah, I saw him, and I was just like starstruck. It felt like, and it wasn't an easy journey though. It wasn't like I just saw him and I just was an automatically believer after that thing, because actually it was the opposite. And I think because I was like so into magic. I was so into magic, and I was so into wanting to be free without religion telling me that Jesus is going to tell you no and you're going to go to hell for being a witch, or being some other religion that sets you free from these dogmas, and you can still believe in source, God, spirit, the goddess, Christ, or whatever path you take, whether it's the left hand path or the right hand path. Like, you just understand that relationship that you have with the universe in a way where you're not harming others or yourself or anything else. I'm a big advocate for that. I don't like any sort of spiritual beliefs or any type of belief that promotes harm or chaos, some sort of negative, chaotic destruction towards anything that just doesn't even need to be there. So that's why I love Wicca, and that's why I love even the teachings that Christ taught. um, and I never really understood why I saw him at that age, and it's because I know that I did ask to see something. I know that's for sure. But you know, you would think like, well, why that? Why did I see him? Why did I couldn't have saw something else? Because I feel like, you know, he chose to let me see that, you know, and in, you know, people are gonna, you know, other spiritual people or non-spiritual people might disagree on how I, you know, live my spiritual life. But like I said, I'm not religious. I am just understanding that, you know, sometimes, let's just keep it real. You have to be a spiritual person enough to know that you doing a spell is not always going to fix every single thing. And I know like some witches are gonna get mad at that because they think like, oh, if I just do this spell, it's gonna protect me on every single thing in my life. And that's not always true, especially if you are not in the right um, path spiritually. It's not that you have to get rid of all of those things that make you happy or make you feel the magic. It's just that if you are kind of living your life like without, you know, that you know, like those new agers say, I'm not a new ager, but like that consciousness of Christ or that God like, you know, being, being one with God or source spirit. Um, let's just keep it real. Like a spell isn't gonna fix all of your spiritual war, and that's what I feel. He came to me. You know, he already. You know, I've had such a magical relationship with, you know, him as well, and well, I shouldn't have to be embarrassed about that. You know, I shouldn't have to feel like, oh my God, you know, I'm saying that, you know, I believe in his existence, and but it's not about religion. It's not even about that. It was just my random, you know, chit chat about my spiritual awakenings, because I kind of sort of had a spiritual awakening again today. You know, I never thought I would come this far in my life to realize how magical and how powerful um, I can be, or any other human being can be. And, you know, I feel that we are the magic, and a lot of us have supernatural abilities that we don't even know about. And I really feel like there's some part of me that has discovered my supernatural abilities, but I don't really like to go on these platforms and brag about that, you know? I don't really think I've really gone on here and told people like, oh, I've done this supernaturally. I've done that. I do tell people like, you know, I have a crazy life, or I am a witch, you know, but it's like I don't really tell people like, I mean, you know, I have my Book of Shadows vlogs, and this is what it's for, but my Book of Shadows vlogs are more like in that moment experience too, like, which I was trying to do today. But anyway, you know, I got so distracted. Anyway, so what am I talking about? I'm just talking about my experiences when I had my first spiritual awakening, and like I said, I didn't live my life like as a believer, being a big you know, following, you know, Christ after 4 years old and seeing him at that age as a child. I did not just automatically start following him after that. Actually, I went the opposite route. I guess took the left hand path without putting a title on myself. And I was living very without him, or without, you know, his guidance to let me know who I truly was. And, you know, you know, this is like a controversial thing to talk about sometimes. Not even controversial. It's like, it's hard to explain sometimes because it's like, You know, it's like, how can you believe in magic and be a witch and then you're talking about Christ? It's like, because, like, this is what this book teaches. Everything that I'm talking about, um, this book already kind of talks about that, you know. It talks about magic, it talks about how you should understand magic, and how you should see it, and how you should see religion, how you should see spirituality, different forms of magic, magical teachings, and different forms of the craft. And so, yeah, I think this book has really got me trying to talk about this today. So, anyway, you know, I would say that this video is has, you know, on my Book of Shadows journey, I would say that it has taught me that that, you know, that God is the magic, you know, and magic is that, you know, that God energy. Um, so that God consciousness. So yeah, you know, you know if you think I'm wrong, whatever, f y'all. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Uh, no, but this is what I've been learning with this book. You know, it talks about the Golden Dawn, and it talks about Enochian magic, which is connected to the Book of Enoch. And, you know, like, what I've learned is that even the Kabbalah, you know, I study different, you know, like, spiritual books, you know, Wicca and witchcraft. And then, you know, like, you would never think I would have a book like this, which is the Bible. You know, you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to be religious. If you want to be a powerful ass witch or, you know, magician or healer, you have to understand the parts of spirituality that you probably don't even want to learn. That is what makes you a powerful witch, so that you can learn everything. It's like a school, you know? Anyway, I don't know where that came from. Maybe that's the universe. So anyway, yeah. Yeah, that is what I've learned in this book. You should check it out. It's Ritual Magic. This is how good this book is to me. It's so worn out. It's called Ritual Magic, What It Is and How to Do It by Donald Tyson. And yeah. Alright.